With the spread of English, a number of non-Western cultural identities were created. These identities were also accompanied by the emergence of a number of social identities. However, these new social and cultural identities were not given much attention in the study of world Englishes. It is believed that world Englishes for a very long time has taken a view of the language which is completely free of these dilemmas. Because of this reason, the study of world Englishes now aims to replace the ungendered account of language with a gendered account, with the hope that this will help in understanding the way in which social identities are constructed. One notion which is common between the feminist studies and the study of world Englishes is that of power. Power is manifested in different ways. One can exercise power in the form of an ideology, through politics, through imperialism, when one follows an expansionist policy to safeguard one's own interest or the interest of one's own country. One can also exercise power in the form of language by imposing one's own language on others. Not only that, even knowledge can be used to exercise power on others. When it comes to English, we see that English has also exercised power on others in the form of ideology, culture, and also some sort of elitist outlook. For example, those who have the knowledge and understanding of English are considered elites, and they have a certain kind of power over those who do not have the same knowledge or same access to English. Many world English scholars believe that the spread of English as a global language is also a manifestation of the power of the power of English and the power of those countries which sort of own the English language. So it is believed that the globalization of English is actually a result of the political, economic, and cultural power of people who are associated with this language. Which means that the countries which are said to be the native English-speaking countries have a certain kind of political, economic, and cultural power over the rest of the world, and it is because of this reason that English has been selected as a global language. And it is also because of the power that the people who are associated with this language have that English has been selected to be used in a number of important domains. For example, English is used as the common language or language of communication in several international bodies and organizations. And this unique, specified type of use of English gives it more importance and some extra power compared to the other languages. Similarly, the roles and functions that English performs, it also contributes to the power of English. For example, the role that English performs in education all over the world, it has also given English a kind of power which is unique to this particular language only. The power of English has also been increased because of linguistic imperialism. According to many world English scholars, the promotion of English through covert means, for example, through teacher training, through textbooks, and also the number of films that we see in English, the number of internationally acclaimed films, etc. Similarly, all the important publications which are brought out in English, all these things contribute to giving English more and more power, and all these covert means apparently no power or no force is being exercised to promote English in this way. Still, it is considered a form of linguistic imperialism because all this is done at the expense of other languages. And this covert promotion of English is also considered to a great extent responsible for unequal distribution of power and resources. For example, those who know English, they exercise a certain kind of power over those who do not. It is not in terms of the countries which own English, but at the individual level also. In a country, for example, in an outer circle country, a country like India or Pakistan, people with the knowledge of English enjoy a certain kind of privileges, and this leads to this unequal distribution of power. The people with the knowledge of English similarly have access to better economic opportunities, and this also in a way perpetuates the inequality which is produced by English in a way. So the knowledge of English is considered imperialistic, or the spread of English is considered imperialistic because it in a way promotes unequal distribution of power and unequal distribution of resources. Language can exercise control in many ways. For example, it can completely displace a native language, as was done in the colonial times when the British displaced the regional languages or indigenous languages and imposed English on other people on these countries. Control can be exercised by language also when a language is planted in a new place, as English was planted in South Asia and many other countries which were under the colonial rule of England. Similarly, when you reject other varieties of English as impurities, that is also one way of exercising control over language, as is done by rejecting the varieties of English which have been produced in the outer circle countries, and when these varieties are considered lesser than the standard varieties of English, especially the varieties which are used in the UK and the USA. This is also one way of exercising control through language. Installing the language of the imperial powers as the standard, therefore, is one way of exercising control. When the language of the imperialist powers, those who have power and control, when their language is considered the standard. For example, apparently there may be different criteria, but it seems that the language which is used by the powerful nation is considered the standard, and the other languages compared to the language of the imperialists are considered inferior. It is because of this reason that gender is also studied in the light of language and also world Englishes. It is believed that gendering language is also one way of perpetuating power hierarchies. For example, when you link more power with one gender, for example, a lot of power is attached with the male gender, this is also one way of perpetuating power hierarchies. Similarly, it is believed that because this unequal distribution of power leads to a lot of inequality, the exercise of power through gender also contributes to different types of inequalities. For example, when some people are given more power, for example, when one gender is given more power and is considered superior to the other power, that is also one way of perpetuating the inequality among people. Therefore, the study of gender in the light of language is considered one way of treating these inequalities in society.